What is going on, everybody? I'm Rob Westerman of GUP Daily, and joining me tonight is former Green Bay Packers kicker Chris Jacke. Chris, thanks for coming on. We appreciate it. We finally got you on a little technical difficulties.
We had a little difficulty last week, and we had a little catastrophe this evening. My computer wasn't working, just for everybody that's listening. The two of you obviously know, but my wife saved the day. I'm on her computer, so
there we go.
I'm still trying to figure out her chair, so. But I look taller, I guess.
Yeah, there we go. Like you said before, as long as you look good, you look smart. That's all that matters. Good to hear. I've also brought on Jonathan Beckman to join in. John, how we doing? Thanks for joining me again. You always do. What's going on?
Doing great. Busy at work, but would much rather talk about Packer football and different things related to the Green Bay Packers than sit at work all day.
You sure you don't want to sit at work instead of talk Packers?
No, there's been a week off, and now there's too much talk about the Cardinals and how good they are.
I know it's tough, but did we not beat them? I don't remember. I don't know. I guess without half our guys
recently,
right?
Recently,
I guess I forgot. So
yeah, that's already 3 weeks ago. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Isn't that crazy? Yeah,
it's just flying by.
It is flying by. Good stuff. All right, Chris, we're just gonna dive in here.
Absolutely.
Starting off, you're drafted in the 6th round out of the University of Texas, El Paso. I've got a couple questions regarding that in your college days. We don't have to dive too deep. I know you were a pretty wild guy back in the day. So a friend of mine went to high school with. He was drafted a couple years ago, and I was able to be at his draft party, so to speak. Witness how cool that was. Things were different in 1989.
A little bit.
Where were you? A little bit. Where were you when you got the call? How soon after did you head to Green Bay? And if you could just walk us through what that was like.
It was quite different. Obviously, there were no parties. It wasn't a big deal on ESPN. Was ESPN around in '89? Yeah, ESPN was around. And I was sitting by my landline. There were no mobile phones, so I was sitting in my dorm room with my girlfriend. Who actually, my agent thought maybe I'd go on the first day. That's back when there were 12 rounds, and I think the first day there were 4 rounds, and he thought maybe I might go into 3rd or 4th. I ended up going in the 6th round on the 2nd day. So that weekend, it was a lot of waiting around. I wish cell phone technology was around back then,
right?
Because it was a very tiny room, but very exciting. It wasn't the phone call I expected. They had me going to the LA Raiders or Denver Broncos or Cincinnati Bengals, and the Packers came out of nowhere. I didn't even work out for those guys. Howard Tippett, the special teams coach, he actually flew down to El Paso and took me to Burger King for a coffee. We just chatted for like an hour, and that was it. And no workout, no kicking, And I was like, okay, well, I got a free coffee out of it, I guess.
Yeah.
And I guess they were impressed with my coffee drinking skills.
There we go. And what you?
It was really exciting. When they called, Howard Tippett was on the phone. He says, "Hi, this is Howard Tippett from the Green." I go, "Yes, Howard." And about then your stomach's getting in knots, and they put Lindy Infante on the phone, and they said, "We're getting ready to take you in the 6th round." I go, "That's exciting." I mean, you're excited to be drafted and just have the opportunity.
Yeah, without a doubt.
Yeah, no doubt. That's awesome.
No parties, no fanfare, no social media.
Man, what a life back then. I can imagine, we're a little on the younger side, at least I like to think. We haven't really lived in a world without that, so I can only imagine.
It was, God, I think about guys today living in the world of social media, and I look at the teams I played on with the Packers, how much fun we had.
Yeah.
Some of it legal, some of it not. And I just can't imagine, being in social media.
At least you didn't have to kick field goal. Hey, at least you didn't have to kick field goals back there when everything, internet warriors, keyboard warriors, every time you miss something. Hey, at least you didn't have to kick 40-yard extra points either, huh?
No, we didn't. Yeah, I have conversations with those keyboard warriors, as you put it, and all those calling for Mason's head every other week, and it's just like, come
Hey, we're
on.
supporters. Hey, Rob and I,
Yes.
we're supporters. We get,
Then the three of us are on the same side
it's
here.
frustrating, but hey, at the end of the
So
day,
you're the only other guy. You're that one other guy then.
Yeah.
and you would know, and you would.
I ask these people, I go, who are you going to bring in?
That's the first question you got to ask.
Who are you going to bring in that can kick in December and January in Wisconsin?
I think somebody said like the guy that's on like the practice squad or something. His kicker,
AJ Molson.
like he kicked like 67% in college. So it's like, okay, you really think that guy's just gonna step up? And
No.
It doesn't matter. It's a new face. That's what everybody wants. They don't think that far ahead. They just want to get rid of that guy, and that's that. So we'll touch on Crosby and the field goal unit a little later. Second, your senior year at UTEP, you guys went 10-3, played in the Independence Bowl against Ole Miss, and Brett Favre was their quarterback. Funny enough,
Didn't know who he was.
Yeah.
All I knew, we went out to he asked us, myself and a couple other guys, including the quarterback on our team, hey, let's meet out after you guys are done with practice. We said, sure. I learned in 1980, was that 89? I guess it was, when was it? December of 88 probably was the bowl, the Independence Bowl.
Yeah.
Yep. I learned in 88 that boy could drink. to this day, I cannot touch Jack Daniels. I just, oh my God,
that's the absolute
record drink.
Doesn't surprise me one bit.
No, it doesn't. But that senior year, it was a good time. There were so many coaches on that coaching staff that I played with. Andy Reid was on the coaching staff.
No.
Marty Morningwig was on the coaching staff. Dirk Cutter, another NFL coach at some point. So we were very well positioned as far as the coaching staff. And we had fun. We had a great – it was very similar to the guys I played with the Packers. It was just a really close-knit group. I mean, obviously you're living on campus or just off campus. And El Paso isn't the biggest area, and there's not a lot to do. I mean, although you wander into Mexico every now and then. Back then you could. And
right.
Not here for your life.
Say back then everything was different.
Yeah.
With that, so you played with him. Did when Don went down, did you already kind of have a little sense of the player he could potentially become? I guess you played against him, I should have said. Do you have any sense maybe, he could be special, or were you kind of like everybody else, like, I guess we'll see what we got?
Are you talking about in the bowl game?
Talking about Brett coming in once Don
he came in.
went down. Yep.
I was good friends with Mikowski. He and Don Bracken, the punter at the time, kind of took me under their wing and introduced me to Coors Light. In addition to all the other stuff. And, so I thought Don would be out for a few weeks and he'd come back in,
right.
Little did I know when he came in at that Cincinnati game and started his 300 game streak or whatever it was. But as the season, even that season, as it progressed, you could just see that gunslinger,
Yeah.
People always say he throws so many interceptions. Well, he just wanted to win. He didn't care. He wasn't about the stats.
Yep.
And we love, obviously it worked out well for us.
Oh yeah. Very, very well. So sticking with that, September 20th, 1992, Magic Man goes down. Brett comes in. So not only is Don the starting quarterback, but he was your holder for extra points and field goals.
Yeah. Let me take a drink.
Were you sweating a little bit? Not so much for the sake of the offense, but for the sake of the kicking game?
A little bit, because Brett, he would practice on, because he was the backup. He would practice during the week, and just not much, because he hated it. I mean, every time he hold the ball, or when he would take a few snaps here and there, first thing out of his mouth is, "Chris, don't kick my fingers." I go, "Brett," I'm not going to kick your fingers unless I mean to. He was horrible. As good as a quarterback as he was, the other end of the spectrum were his holding abilities, and there's pictures out there. I think the Cincinnati game of him holding the extra point, and he's doing this with his hands, letting go. So it's, but yeah, I think Don was well enough to hold after that. Once Brett became the full-time starter.
Good deal. No, that's cool. Moving on, during the decade of the 90s, obviously Packers as a whole turned around thanks to a few special people, one of them being Reggie White.
Yep.
Green Bay, not the most sought-after location for free agents. How did Reggie White swing that notion for future guys who, would then become pieces for the Super Bowl in the late 90s?
He became a spokesman. I always, when I do speaking engagements, I talk about that transformation of the Packers from when I was here. 89 was a great year. And then we went into 90 and 91. I think we were 6-10 and 4-12 or something. It wasn't pretty. But then when they made the transition to the new coaching staff and Ron Wolf, obviously the first person they brought in was Brett, and then it was Reggie. And I always say, as good as or great as Reggie was on the field is what he was doing off the field that made us a championship caliber team. Yep. Eventually, if you go fast forward to 96, he got Andre Rison to come in, Keith Jackson, Sean Jones, all these guys came in that made the team a championship caliber team. So for everything he was doing on the field, it was the stuff that he was an ambassador to get people to come here. Absolutely.
Yeah. No, that's great. Like you said, just an amazing all-around guy. Obviously, right. I'm repping him tonight, so got to shout out him. Let's stick with the Super Bowl. We'll get in the actual game here itself in a minute, but kind of during that 2010 season, Charles Woodson seemed like he was the guy who made it known to the team that they were a Super Bowl type team and kind of built that mentality. At what point in 96 did you realize that, hey, we're a legit contender. We have a real shot to bring home a title.
Well, we always felt we were a contender. It was just always those Cowboys that knocked out. I think we had 2 trips to the NFC Championship game and got kicked and got beat by the Cowboys in Dallas, of course. But if I don't want to toot my own horn, but it was that Monday Night Football game against the San Francisco 49ers.
Oh, yeah.
People didn't believe we could beat the elite teams. And if you think about in the mid-90s, early 90s, the elite teams were the Cowboys and the 49ers.
Yep.
We hadn't beaten either one of them. And it was on that Monday night that we did beat those guys in overtime. And that kind of put us over the hump as far as national recognition. I think we were 7-1, 6-1 at the time, but we weren't getting our true due because we hadn't beaten those teams. And on that Monday night, we did.
No, that's great. John, I know you're a little older than I am. I've watched highlights.
You both like 21 or something?
I got one of those. So like back then, so I lived in Green Bay when I was real young. Side note, I drew on Andy Reid's car when I was 5 years old. Pretty interesting story. But no, I mean, like, I totally get where you come from on a bunch of that stuff. Is with the 49ers game, how important that was. I've got like movies from like those early seasons and like when they won the Super Bowl in the 90s of like videos, and it's got like little highlights. And I think the 49ers was one of those highlights on those movies. And I used to always watch them when I was 5, 6, 7 years old, and just watch them. And that's why I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah. Yep. Finally got over that hump.
Yes, we did. Yeah.
Yeah, on to the Super Bowl itself. My great aunt and uncle were in attendance down there in New Orleans to witness you guys. And you went a perfect 3 for 3 on extra points, 2 for 2 on field goals. Your first game action came pretty quick. Obviously, first play for the offense was a touchdown to Andre Rison, what you were talking about.
Yep.
Were you always ready on the sidelines, or was it like, man, I'm already needed? Like, let's do this? Like,
God, I mean, what was that, like a 70-yard pass, I believe, or something?
Yeah,
it was
50-some.
I mean, you're ready. I mean, thank goodness we weren't playing in Lambeau and it was 20 below or something. So we were in a dome. I was already warm and loose and excited to get out there and contribute. And no, we were all ready. We were all hyped. I mean, that first quarter was crazy. A lot of energy, and then things settled down. I mean, the Patriots, they ended up playing better and actually came back and got close to us. But in the second half, that Mr. Reggie White kind of took over.
That was Super Bowl 45 for us as well, for Green Bay. Started that first quarter, the energy was crazy, and we just went, and then the Steelers kind of crawled back in, and then it was just after that, a couple plays just took over.
Yeah, it just becomes a normal just another football game.
Right? As crazy as it sounds.
Our high school coach, Rob, and I both had the same high school coach in Iowa football, and he was coach for 40 years and one of the winningest coaches. And he always preached to us, the stay there, never too high, never too low. And I coach high school football myself, and I've always tried to live by that too. No matter what, it's going to be big games, bigger games. but you just can't let the ups and downs affect you. And I mean, I've seen when it's really hurt some of the teams I've coached. You know, you let some games matter too much, but.
Yeah, no, I agree. That's how I kind of approach kicking field goals. I tried not to get too excited about the ones you made, and I tried not to get too down on myself on the ones you miss. I mean, it's just life, and you move on.
Yep. Yeah, part of the game. No, that's great. So, 2013. We're gonna fast forward, like, what is that, 30 years now?
What are you guys, like 16 now?
Almost. You're almost spot on. You're almost spot on.
I was 20. I'm 28. I was 20.
Yeah, I'm 26. So we're not as young
not.
as we're not as young as you may think we are. 26. I think I'm over the hump of 25. I'm closer to 30. Yeah. So that's where I'm like,
we're actual adults now.
Well, yeah, we both have kids. Like, we're both married. Like, and 5 years ago, we were working at the same place, talking nothing about football, and that was the only worry we ever had. Because here in Iowa, we're the only Packer fans. It seems like people, when they're here, they say, you know, Bears, Vikings, and Packers, but it's really, I mean, John, you're the one and very few only other Packer fans that I even know, and it's a lot of Vikings fans, a lot of Bears fans.
Yeah.
So.
The
majority of the community is pretty sad for the most part when football season rolls around, at least for the last 10, 15 years. But that's neither here nor there. So 2013, you're inducted in the Packers Hall of Fame. Have you been to Lambeau? Check out your headstone. How cool was that to be recognized on the field at halftime?
It was so surreal. I hate to use that word because it's so overused, but I don't know how else to describe it. When you walk around, they let us walk through and show us where our bust is going to be and everything. And I really wasn't concerned about what mine looked like. I was looking at everybody else's because I'd never really been through there. I mean, I'd been through it, but you don't really pay attention. You're usually taking a family member, this is Packer stuff, whatever. But when you're in there, you're going, wow, some of the busts that you're next to, I mean, I think I'm next to Brett Favre and, Reggie and all these guys. And then you start looking back, 50 years of all the guys that have played there. And you're going, I'm a permanent part of Packer history, and it's just
lucky.
We can't describe it. It's amazing.
That's incredible. Yeah, we as fans, we have that opportunity. We can buy those stones, get our names put in them, and hey, the thing is with those, when you buy them and get your name put on them, you don't know where they put them.
So you're spending the next 40 years looking for it.
So
you're young. You got things to do.
Yeah, maybe I'll get my season tickets by then.
We'll probably get our season tickets
walking around the stadium. I don't know.
Seriously, we'll get our season tickets before we ever find those stones. And hey, if that's what it takes, that's all that matters. No, that's awesome. Yeah, you next to some awesome names, and obviously you're an awesome name yourself. So
there's just so much history. I mean, you can't even begin to talk about it. It's just there's so much history.
And I don't know which highway it is, but every time I go to Lambeau, it's like you get to the highway and you see Lambeau, and it's just like,
I think it's 41. Whenever you do the tour,
you could be coming over 172 or something.
You just see it, you're just like,
we don't have many big buildings in Green Bay, so it's not.
Hell no, it's
I hope that's the only one. When I was doing the tour,
I play a little flight simulator, and I flew into Lambeau Field, but
that's how much time we got on our hands, right?
Nerdy things, it's important things in life.
Absolutely,
it is. Seeing Lambeau, I was doing a tour every time I go up there, which is usually once a year for a game, maybe once a year for training camp, usually a couple times a year. I do the tour, we do everything, and the tour guide said that you can see Lambeau from like 7 miles, I think is the first time you can see it coming in. Yeah, so especially when they put that new
that Jumbotron.
That jumbo, huge thing. So, no, that's cool. Let's chat a little bit about this year's Packers team. A lot of offseason stuff happened this past year, just like last year and the year before, of course. We drafted Jordan Love. This team last few years has gone on to have some great seasons. They won a lot of games. Do you think Aaron was going to return this past summer? And do you think after some repairs and with some front office and maybe some success, he could come back next year?
To answer your first question, I was one of the ones that I honestly thought he was trying to talk his way out of Green Bay. Just everything he was saying or not saying. Let me back up. Everything he wasn't saying kind of led me to believe he didn't want to play.
Yep.
And he never really had a news conference to explain all the things that he
Right.
had complaints about or what he wanted until that he finally came in and did have his press conference. But I was one of the ones that really thought that they were going to trade him to whoever team was interested in him. I thought he'd be going to the West Coast, back to San Francisco or something.
Yeah,
I'm glad he didn't.
Yeah, they've got a good roster. So
they really. I don't know what he was looking for. You've got the best receiver, arguably, two top running backs. I mean,
great
dinged
play
up
caller
on the offensive line, but my God, they're playing like all pros. The guys that are backing up. So, they always say the grass isn't always greener. Someone should have told that to Aaron.
I know, and that's the thing we were kept on trying to figure out, like what other scenario, and I think other people kind of started chiming in on this later on too, like what other scenario is better than what you have in Green Bay, along to add with you've been here your whole career. This is, if we were 0-16 and, or 4-12 or whatever it would be, then maybe I could see him doing that, but it still would be kind of hard. It would have to be super good on the other side, but we're always good. But then there was just that always question, and what was the things that he wasn't saying.
Right. Well, that's what led to all the conspiracies, and I mean, we all drawn into him. I mean, he wanted to go here, he wanted to go there, and just say something, Aaron. Just Jeopardy and tell us what the hell you want.
And it all came true because he said, like, 2 days before training camp, he was legit 50-50 on coming back.
Yeah. Absolutely.
After I think a summer of nothing was said, so I think everybody was kind of building up the confidence. He's coming back for sure. He's either going to retire or sit. He'll play.
You go jump off some waterfalls in Hawaii and tell me you don't want to just continue to do that.
That's true.
So your second part of your question was, what do you think he's going to do? I don't know what he's going to do. If we don't win the Super Bowl, he's such a hard guy to figure out.
Yeah.
He's just one of those that doesn't say a lot. But when he does say stuff, he plays word games with it. I mean, the whole vax, unvaxxed, immunized. I mean, that was word games. I mean, he's smart. He knew what he was doing. He's just he's effing with people, and he loves doing that. And I appreciate that. I admire it. But now that I'm a fan, stop it.
Yeah. No,
so, I don't know. If we win this, I mean, I could see him leaving if he wanted to. If we won or lost the Super Bowl.
Yeah. I would think he would stay, but that's me. It's me being biased. That's from if I was in his position, but he's a different guy.
I feel like all the vibes I've gotten is it's like how would you leave? Because even him, the vibes he's giving off is like I'm having fun. So whatever. I guess it's a waiting game. I mean,
he's a salesman. Let's not forget.
Yes, he is. And
he knows how to use the English language very well.
Yeah.
Yes. and Spanish every once in a while. When that Monday night cast comes on, he speaks some Spanish. When they ask him secondary questions, I think he kind of avoids them. But those first questions in Spanish, he's good. But
I just don't know where he'd go if he decided to leave after this, where he could win a championship immediately.
I completely
the only
agree.
thing that was in my head was the 49ers and the Saints were the only ones that came to my mind.
The Saints are rebuilding. I mean,
the
49ers, I mean, they're
Steelers,
up
maybe?
and down. Steelers, they're on the way out.
Yeah.
The thing is a heartbreaking loss at the end of the year. If that were to happen, it's probably not because we're going to win the Super Bowl, I would assume.
I would hope.
That can change everything.
Right.
So
absolutely. Winning heals a lot of stuff.
Yeah. So like a heartbreaking loss.
It could also put his mind at ease and say, I'm ready to close it down because I'm done with this shit.
Well, that's what I'm saying. You're going both. Yeah. I can see him leaving whether we win or lose. I mean, you can make it. And again, we're trying to figure out what's going on in his head, but
he knows.
I don't think he knows, but
he'll get it figured out, or somebody will, and then somebody will post something, and then everybody will know, and we'll be back on here next year talking about Jordan Love.
Who's the guy on ESPN? Adam Scheffler, whatever his name is. He'll know.
He'll know. He apparently knows everything.
He does. Yes.
Oh man, no, that's great. Something John and I talk about on the show is special teams. I think if I remember correctly, special teams for that 96 year was ranked number 1.
1+. We were pretty
Man,
good. Yeah,
right
we
around
had
there.
Desmond.
One
We
in
had
everything.
great guys on coverage teams. Yeah, we were number one, I believe, because I think we had the 1 or 2 offense, 1 or 2 defense, and number
I think
one.
it was one
special
both.
teams.
I think both sides. If I
Yeah.
remember correctly, it was one.
At some point, regardless, they're top 2.
Right.
Our special teams unit, obviously, so far this year, hasn't been the greatest. Whether it's kickoff return, punt return, or field goal unit, for a guy like Mason, a Packer great. There's so many moving parts as far as the protection, the snap, the hold, all of which I've struggled individually, all together at some point during a game this season. That's got to impact your focus going into the kick, doesn't it?
Oh, absolutely. And I think, was it less than a month ago, they made a change at the snapper,
Yeah.
the long snapper. And if there's no, I mean, that takes timing. I mean, it looks like a simple play, snap, hold, kick. It's not that simple. It's a lot of timing. And in the first few that he did start missing, I did notice the snaps weren't correct. The holds were off. But recently, I think you alluded to, I think it's in his head a little bit right now. Because to me, the holds have been fine. The snaps have been okay the last few times. Now we're talking about he went 3 for 4 the last game against.
We wouldn't have complained. We wouldn't have complained if he wouldn't
take that.
Right. So I mean, it didn't cost us. And again, who are you going to bring in? It's December. I mean, it's 3 below out right now.
Yep.
You're not going to bring in some guy that's never played a snap.
No. And he's as good as a cold weather kicker you're going to get.
Available. What was his name? Pokey or something?
Here's one thing that I was telling myself last night. I was watching the football game, and they had a 40-yard kick. Everything. When you're at a game, you realize how much harder it is to actually kick a ball into the field goal. But when they show it on TV, they only show you the goalpost, right? So when a guy missed, it's like, well, how the hell did you miss through my TV? Literally, it was what I was thinking last night. And I'm like, all right, so maybe that's, the reality of it. I mean, I was telling Rob last week when he missed that 40-yarder, there's the snap and all the time. But sometimes when you just miss a 32-yarder, I'm sitting there, and you would know better than I would. I coach football, but then
what do you mean by that? I don't remember missing any 32-yarders.
but when you miss a 32-yard field goal, sometimes you got to sit there, and I sit there and I go, can't you just make the field goal regardless of if it's just a little bit laces, blah blah blah.
Who's this guy? We got another professional kicker in our
then again, hey, kicking is a completely different thing.
Right.
That 99% of coaches have no idea how to coach.
No, so, like you said,
again, a special teams coach is not a kicking coach.
Right.
They're the special teams coach. You rarely does a special teams coach a kicker. I mean, you can't.
If they do, they probably have never kicked.
Right. And it's
what kicker has been a coach?
Especially a veteran like him.
Yeah, especially a veteran. Because we're all different. It's like a golf swing. We all have different styles, and some kickers like the ball leaned. I like the ball straight up and down. Mason, I know a couple weeks ago people were commenting on Facebook, well, the ball's leaning, the holder's leaning the ball, and I kept saying, no, that's the way he likes it.
Well, he might like it
because typically a right-footed kicker hooks the ball left. So if you lean the ball in towards yourself, it straightens out a hook in theory. There's just. Yeah, special teams coaches do not talk to kickers.
I get it. And like you said, John, when you're at the game, you really realize how thin the goalposts are together as opposed to high school football.
15 feet.
It's different when you're at Lambeau and you're on the 30-yard line and you're sitting there and you're like, okay, yeah, maybe this is a little harder than what I thought. I mean, and as somebody that coaches, I mean, when we're doing pregame warm-ups or when we're doing warm-ups, coaches, we love to kick the ball around too, and we realize we're pretty terrible at it. I mean, it's not.
It's a little different from Madden. Let me put it that way.
And punting is not kicking, and kicking is not punting, so you can't.
Correct.
You can't just – it's not the same thing at all. That is one thing.
I get it. No, I agree. Not many people has a kicker as one of their favorite players. John, you're so annoyed at me saying this. I've said many times on the show and elsewhere. Mason's one of my all-time Packers favorites.
Hey.
He was kind enough – he just is. He's had so many good kicks, and he's a man of faith. He's just somebody I just really look up to. He was kind enough to stop by on his way to the tunnel this past year. I was at the Monday night game with the Lions. I had his jersey of mine hanging over. He stopped by, signed it. I got a quick picture, something that kind of is hanging up my wall right next to me, similar to the ones behind me. things like that just kind of, I've loved watching this guy. And then that happens, then it ingrains it for forever. And this may be his last year. So I was like, he's the one and only guy I'm going to really hope to get.
Even through the struggles, I trust that if it comes down to a field goal in the Super Bowl, I still trust that he's
there's nobody I would trust more than Mason Crosby.
He's still a guy. He's a guy to do it.
And you add in the cold weather, like who other cold weather kicker? Robbie Gould's good. I mean, Tucker's out there playing, but it's different up in Lambeau. Obviously,
a little bit.
Anybody.
Yeah,
like it's different.
Like I said, it's 2 below outside right now.
Hey, it's good to hear your opinion on it though, because like I said, you're more qualified than us.
You've been there. Like John said earlier,
you might be 20 years out, but
keep studying. Maybe someday.
Yeah. No, that's cool. So a lot of fun characters on this Packers team this year. A lot of guys who are stepping up, kind of making a name for themselves with all the injuries. Is there a certain player on the team this year that you've grown and you love to watch?
AJ Dillon.
Oh, I love him.
Without a doubt. I am old school. Obviously, we've talked about our ages here.
Oh yeah.
I love running the ball, especially when you're dinged up a little bit and you're trying to keep the ball out of other people's hands, the other team's hands. And he's such a good runner. And there's times that we pass and I'm going, just run the ball. I mean, the guy falls down and he gets 6 yards.
Yep, legit. So I was going to say, you've probably been loving this year where we've been lining up in 5 wide, or A.J. Dillon takes us all the way down the field, and then we pass 3 straight times. And
don't even get me started.
It's okay. It always kills me when teams on 3rd and 1, they go to go for their play, and all of a sudden they throw a 30-yard pass. Now, granted, it did get us a touchdown with Jordy Nelson in the Super Bowl.
I said it works every now and then.
It works every now and then.
The game last night, would they throw the ball 3 times?
I think
loved that game last night. People were making fun of they're not passing.
Yeah.
First, do you see the wind?
Yeah.
Like, oh my God. And they're not stopping the run. Why would you not run the ball?
Even if it was perfect weather.
I'm glad that so far AJ Dillon has turned out to be what we hoped that they drafted him to be. And it's good that he's a good dude. Aaron Jones is a good dude. So that, like you said, Reggie White, a little bit different, I understand. But they're guys that like you can throw all your support behind because they're good dudes.
Right. Yeah.
No, I get it.
I like his
speaking of the game last night, there are guys coming on Twitter, Facebook, all those crazy social media timelines arguing about if football should be played in a dome. I was like, what? What's your take on that?
You're talking to a kicker. You're probably asking the wrong guy.
Well, you're a cold weather kicker.
You would rather kick in a dome.
I loved kicking outdoors. Now, granted, I didn't enjoy kicking in sub-zero weather.
Yeah.
But I always loved kicking. I mean, I loved when we had trips to Tampa Bay when we played down there, or Miami, those fields where you knew it was going to be 75 or 80, and it's like a putting green surface. Yeah. I much prefer the outdoors, and the northern teams have an advantage. I mean, except for obviously Minnesota, Detroit, those 2 dome teams. I mean, look at last night. I mean, even though it was in Buffalo, I mean, Belichick came up with a game plan. We're just going to run the ball, stop us, and they couldn't.
No one expected that. The over/under in Vegas for Matt Jones or whatever his name is,
Mac Jones,
Mac Jones was 30.5 pass attempts, 30.5, and
they were off by a factor of 10. Yes.
So get that, Vegas, shove that up your ass.
Yeah.
Oh, that's great.
Hey, that is one thing. I don't know if you're an analytics guy. There's a lot of analytics that I hate, and there's
you just said he was old school.
You're old school.
What is analytics? What is that? Is
like
that's some new app on the.
Is that like accounting or something?
I don't like numbers because you know what? They might tell you that field goal kickers are 78% from 40 to 49 yards. Okay, but are they kicking in Lambeau? Or are they kicking in the down south in a dome? Like,
right. Well, it's funny you mentioned that. When I played, we voted for Pro Bowls, and if I always had a couple of criteria that would automatically X out a kicker.
Mm-hmm.
If you played in a dome, you weren't eligible.
Hey.
If you missed an extra point, you weren't eligible either. And that's back when extra points were 20 yards.
Yeah.
So, yeah. You in a dome. I voted for Kevin Butler more than anybody, I think, in the Pro Bowl. I mean, you have an unfair advantage. You might.
Yeah.
I would guess if Mason or guys that play like even a Tucker at the Ravens, if they kicked indoors, their percentages would be 5 or 6, 7% better than what they are. It's that big of a difference.
Justin Tucker's like the only other kicker that I would trust with anything other than Mason right now, because that guy's. I mean, he's
very good. Yes.
Yeah. No, he is good. Sticking with the team, we're 9-3. NFC North basically wrapped up. We have a chance to get one of the top seeds in the playoffs this year. Any takeaways from the football? Anything with the team this year? How we're playing?
2 weeks ago we lose to the Vikings, who were sub 500.
Yep.
Week before that we beat an 8-2 Cardinals, or 7-1 or whatever they were at the time.
Yeah, Seahawks before then the Cardinals. Yep.
Then we come off the Viking game and beat a pretty good Rams team, even though they had lost 2 in a row.
Yep.
We're good. I'm not sure how good we are yet, because we play down to our competition. It's an old saying, I guess.
Yeah.
We've done that a few times, and you look back, even though we've won a lot of not all our games at 9-3.
Yeah.
I mean, we could have easily lost the 49er game, the Bengals game. If the guy with the car at the Cardinals, if he was looking the right way, they would have lost that game. Yeah. But someone said it today, and I don't know what I was watching, but sometimes it's better to be lucky than good.
Yeah.
And we've been both this year.
Yeah.
I mean, we've been really good, but we've also been lucky at times.
Hey, luck favors the prepared.
Yeah, absolutely. And so moving forward, I don't put a lot of credence in home field advantage based on what happened last year.
Right.
I'd rather see us get healthy, because I think a healthy Packer team can beat any team in the NFL. I don't care what field we're on.
Yeah.
No, I agree. And
I'm kind of hoping he doesn't activate those guys this week. Say, if we're going to make the playoffs, do what the NBA does. And I don't watch the NBA, but they sit players. We should do the same thing.
Yeah.
Let those guys heal up another 5 weeks.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I mean, honestly, I truly believe that. Green Bay's pretty conservative about bringing back their players. They don't throw them usually, which is why I was honestly surprised that Aaron Jones played.
I was shocked, because they said 2 weeks minimum for that.
Yeah.
And then with that bye week implemented, it was pretty much like an automatic. Okay, let's give them till then. Rest, and then.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, I hope they. Yeah. I mean, at this point, if they give them 2 more weeks, 3 more weeks, I don't know.
I'd rather hit the playoffs healthy.
Yeah.
Oh, 100%.
Over
being home field, because like you said, there wasn't as many fans than last year, but it was still home field. You're in Lambeau.
True. That's true.
And that's the thing, is some of these guys are so good that practice. Yeah. That's why some of them just won't need it. Like so for you to say like, oh, they need 4 games before going in, some of these.
When you're talking about Z, Jair, D-Bach,
you're talking about guys.
No. But you also worry about getting re-injured because they're not ready to be hit.
Yep.
I mean, you see a lot of guys come back from a 6-week hiatus and they pull hamstrings and they get hurt.
Yep.
You don't want to see that happen either.
Kind of build up that callus, so to speak. So
exactly.
John, we got some rapid fire questions for you, Chris.
Fire away, rapid it.
All right,
go, John.
Favorite non-Packers player to watch in today's NFL?
Today's NFL. You're gonna hate it, but I love watching Tom Brady.
Oh, me too.
I think he's such a technician. He's not the best athlete in the world.
He'll throw the 5-yard check down.
He knows defenses better than defensive. What did you say?
He'll throw 5-yard check downs all day and take it. I'm saying he's a technician. Like, he doesn't care.
He'll win 7 Super Bowls doing it.
Right? Seriously. And that's the thing. Among Packer fans, everybody hates Tom Brady, but I have never been a Tom Brady hater. 1, because we've never had to really face him ever. And 2, maybe when he was winning 3 or 4 Super Bowls, maybe I got tired of the always seeing him on TV, but never really hating him himself. But he's won so much that if you're hating him, then you got some other personal issues going on, because he's just that good.
Right. So, I always say I hope Aaron Rodgers is hated that much someday, because that'll mean he has 5 or 6 Super Bowls himself.
Yeah, right.
You always hate the people who win them all. I mean, everyone hated Michael Jordan when he was winning all his championships.
Everybody hates LeBron. Everybody hates everybody.
All right. So favorite current hobby?
Current hobby, besides talking to 2 young kids on the internet. Wow. It's winter, so that's tough to say. Getting ready for spring is my favorite one right now.
Are you in the Midwest?
I'm in Green Bay.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Where are you guys? Because you kept saying driving up and
Northeast Iowa, so 5 hours away.
Cedar Falls, Iowa.
Are you in Dubuque?
No, we're not in Dubuque. Did you say Dubuque?
Yeah.
Like, was that a joke?
No, my son went to Loris. I know Dubuque pretty well.
So
we called it
University of Northern Iowa. University of Northern Iowa is in our town, Cedar Falls. We're about 5.5 hours from Green Bay.
Yeah.
Okay. So you're not too far.
So it's
in the summers, I love being outdoors. I like fishing. We had a lake house for a while, and we just actually sold that here recently. We're going to build a home here in Green Bay. So we'll be doing a lot of planning for that here in the next few months and start that next summer.
Yep. John, he's a big golfer. He said your golf game isn't that good. Is that true?
I don't give a darn about golf. I'm not one of those kickers that I like to have fun playing golf, not worrying about the score.
Crosby, I think, is big in the golf.
He's a very good golfer. I've golfed with him a few times. I shoot 80, and he'll shoot 70. And I just don't care. I think I played 4 times this past summer.
Yeah. See, last summer I played a lot. More times than I ever combined to have in my life. This last year, twice. One of them was on a bachelor party too, so that didn't really count. I love golf. John, I shoot. If I shoot under 100, it's a great day.
As long as you're having fun, right?
Yep, having a good time. John, you're a good golfer.
I'm a solid golfer. I'm not a great golfer.
What does solid mean?
Around 80s. So I'm not. You're not gonna.
You're stuttering. You're
not gonna take me out. You're not gonna take me out golfing with your buddies and be embarrassed by me.
There we go.
Right, when you're in Green Bay in the summer, give me a holler. We'll go golfing.
Let's do it. Let's do that.
Funniest player you've played with?
Well, that's Brett. Did you say funniest?
Yeah.
Yeah, Brett, of course.
Okay. Well, then let's go with most enjoyable. Who did you enjoy playing with?
What's your definition of an enjoyable player?
Who did you feel most comfortable playing with, like the day to day?
Craig Hentrick was a good friend. We played several years together. Don Bracken when I first came in the league. Don Mikowski. A lot of those guys when I first came in the league. Brian Noble, Sean Patterson. A lot of those guys that were here when I came in the league. A great group of guys. Sterling Sharp, believe it or not, he wasn't as quiet or as big an asshole as he appeared to be on being interviewed. He was actually very sociable with the guys. And then that whole 96 team that was built up. I mean, that was just a great collection of guys.
Yeah. So sticking with that, John, before you go to the next one,
I
had seen Sterling Sharp did like a signing recently. You had like headphones on, wasn't really sociable. Is that common, or is that kind of just like, I'm not really a fan of doing that. I'll do it for whatever cause or whatever. Some people just not a fan of doing that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I enjoy it. I always tell people the day that they don't ask me for my autographs is going to be the sad day.
Right.
So I go out of I still get mail. I probably get 20 pieces of mail a week.
Yeah.
People just send in cards, and I can't believe there's still some out there. And, I enjoy signing them and sending them back, or if I'm out in public and someone happens to recognize me, and I enjoy it. I mean, that's just part of the game.
Yep. And I feel like we always talk about it, John and I. If I were Aaron Rodgers or whoever in the NFL, I would love signing those things and putting the time. But at the same time, I understand if someone's not really into that, or if they get sick of it.
That's not their thing. That's their choice.
So, completely understand. Go ahead, John.
Right.
All right. Single top Brett Favre story that you can think of that you remember him by the most.
Oh, man. Oh, let me think. I think it was his first year. We were playing a preseason game down at Camp Randall, and he was his first year. I'm trying to remember it because I'm kind of old. I got to put this stuff together. I can't just back up. We were playing the Jets, and he had thrown an incomplete pass on third down, and he went off the field, and he's the holder. So I'm sitting out there going, where's this Favre guy? He's supposed to be holding. So he comes. I can hear him on the sideline. The coach is, Brett, you got to go out there and hold. So he comes running out there, helmet in his hand, throws his helmet on, no chin strap, takes the snap, bobbles the snap, And he kind of looks, he tries to hold it. I kind of took one step and stopped, and he took the ball, kind of stood up and looked at me like he was going to throw it to me. And all I remember saying, "Go, Brett, hell no. You run the ball." I didn't know Brett for, I wasn't going to get, and he got his ass smashed. He was just a nightmare holder. And that's just Brett. He went running off the image I can see the most from the Super Bowl is the pass to Andre Rison. He's run off the field,
helmet in the air.
We'd already won. So.
That's the type of stuff as a coach that drives me crazy too, because it's just like, dude, you didn't win yet. We got 3.5 quarters to play.
See, and sticking with that quick, I was watching. I've seen it many times. I watched it a couple weeks ago from start to finish. It was crazy to me. The opening kickoff return so it was a punt return. Sorry, Patriots punted. Desmond Howard returned it, and then he got into like a scuffle with the guy on the sidelines. That today, he was talking smack. The guy was on the sidelines, wasn't a part of the play. He goes out of bounds and was getting in his face. Refs come break it up. That today, looking at the sidelines is a penalty.
Don't get me started. It's a different world. Even as a kicker, I shake my head at some of the stuff they call. The one that gets me is a defensive player it tries to make a sack, and he's supposed to in midair not land on the guy.
Yeah.
How physics 101. I never took physics
or go for the SWAT
or learned a lot about gravity, but when you're falling and you weigh 300 pounds, it's hard to shift your body weight.
Yeah.
So it's a little different. I mean, I played with Chuck Cecil. I don't know if you guys remember him.
Oh yeah.
And that dude, he'd probably be in debt to the NFL. He'd be paying off his fines to this day. He was a big hitter.
It's a sad thing. Hopefully, I don't know if they're gonna have a come to Jesus moment or something where they can just be like, you know what, this is tarnishing the game.
It is.
Let's slowly. We don't have to turn everything off right now, but let's just slowly chip away at these penalties and whatnot. Because I couldn't believe it when I saw it. He was chatting out in the field of play, goes out on their sidelines and gets in their face and starts going. The ref comes over, and then he's pumped up, coming back over to your guys' sidelines. I was like, that is just amazing.
Can you don't imagine? See that? I mean, look at the game last night. The personal foul on the Patriot that pushed Josh Allen out of bounds, and he was still in bounds.
He was still in bounds
in the field of play.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thankfully,
the referee, and I know those guys. They've changed the rules so much, and it's so based on interpretation is the problem. Yeah. And these guys, the refs they're just throwing flags just to throw flags.
Yeah, they really are. Because last night they even said in the broadcast afterwards, like, he's still in bounds. That's what as a DB, what you're supposed to do.
Right.
Because it was at a point where he was reaching for the first down, and maybe if he didn't push him, he could have clearly got it.
Yeah.
Anyways, John, go ahead. We keep
I got one last one for you.
Fire away.
I know you're getting a little older, and you might have had a few midlife crises.
I'm drinking my warm milk. All right.
And I'm not asking you tomorrow to go out and have another midlife crisis to see if this is true, but I need you to tell us, what is your field goal range today? And I'm talking like, if you were to go out and kick 3 field goals, you feel like you could confidently make 2 out of 3.
Well, one, I don't kick field goals without getting paid. So how much money's in your wallet?
Well, we're like,
he's clearly been through like
midlife. If you gave me a week to stretch, I have no idea. I haven't kicked a football probably in 15 years.
Really?
I kicked a lot of soccer balls with my sons. They both played. My youngest in Dubuque, that's where he went to Loris down there played soccer. So, if I had to kick a 30 or 35 yarder, but if you had some maybe $100 bills in your wallet, I could push 50.
Hey, when we come up and play some golf, we'll stop by Lambeau and we'll head in there.
All right, but give me a week's notice. I got to stretch.
Oh yeah, we will. We will do that. No, that's great. John, any more rapid fire questions, or are you good?
No, man. Let's let him talk a little bit.
Let's do it. Cap off the show. Let's talk about player alumni resources. What exactly does PAR offer? How did you decide to start it, and everything about it?
Well, you mentioned that I went into the Packer Hall of Fame in 2013, and once that happened, I started getting asked to do a lot of different things: golf outings, come speak at our event, come to our charity outing, or whatever, speak to our group. And they were paying me to do that. And I go, this is kind of fun. And the Packers, prior to that, the Packers do a lot for the alumni, and they would pay us as well. But
that's good.
And so as this was coming, my wife, she kind of helps small businesses. She's an executive coach, and I talked to her quite a bit about it. I go, what if and I was doing financial planning before that, or at the time, and hated it. Just a nightmare. I don't like people. You gotta like people to be in that business. But I like fans. People and fans are two separate groups of people. So I put the idea together to just really start this for myself and promote myself, to do those types of things. But then I decided to talk to like William Henderson and Gilbert Brown, who you see a lot. They do a lot of things in the community and around the state. And I talked to them a little bit, and they didn't have a presence on the or a website or social media for that matter. I think they had social media, but they really weren't promoting themselves. So as I talked to them, the idea kind of blossomed into, well, I could do this for myself, but if I put a few guys on there, I can help facilitate doing the same stuff for those guys. I'm not their agents. My client are the people that come to me for help or want an alumni. So it kind of snowballed into about 50 alumni, the majority of which, if you've been on the website, are the guys I played with. Some are older, some are younger, and it's, speaking engagements, golf outings when there's not COVID or not snowing, tailgate parties. It's really, if someone comes to me and they have a need, we talk about their budget, the expectations of the alumni to make sure, because I don't want to just throw an alumni out there that's not going to be comfortable in what they're asking them to do. So we work through all that, and I usually come up with 2 or 3 alumni as a recommendation, and they pick from that, and we go from there. Yeah.
Speaking of COVID, did you guys have a lot of pushback as far as things you're not able to do? Was it kind of a slower year? How did you guys pivot?
If you can describe a slow year as a complete shutdown, that's what happened. Everything that Player Alumni Resources does or still doing now, it's picking back up. It involves groups of people. If you're speaking to a corporation and they have 500 employees at the event, they weren't doing those things. Even golf outings, even though it was outside, but even golf outings were shut down. So 2020? This is 21. Last summer there were no golf outings. But this summer in 2000, people are starting to understand that COVID is.
It's okay.
I don't want to get political, but
it's here to stay.
It's not as bad as the media makes it out to be.
Okay, we're on the same page. Mason Crosby and COVID, we're all 3 on the same page.
If you follow me, you know what page I'm on. So.
Hey, I asked you to be on the show, and I was completely.
I got my Back the Blue on.
That's right.
Rob did his research.
That's right. Before I asked too, because if I'm the other side,
I googled you guys, but nothing came up.
Well, it's because I haven't missed any extra points.
No, I can't wait to get you in a golf outside in a golf game.
Yeah, see this guy up here. You got a lot to say, Johnny. But when it comes to golf, he's quieter.
No.
And he focuses, and I'm like, dude, no, I'm just out here swinging. And then at the end of the round, we usually have about the same scores, and I'm like, dude, see who had more fun, me?
Yeah.
Oh no, that's perfect. Is there a specific event that you've enjoyed the most over the past few years, or that you enjoy continuing to do?
I enjoy them all. Whether it's a simple autograph session, because we do those as well, or we got something coming up here in Green Bay, actually at Lambeau Field, and it's going to be 2,000 employees. And it's a lot of fun, and that's where I'll be telling the story of the transformation of the Packers, and we kind of fit that into, because a lot of companies go through different transformations in their growth. So we talk about that and how it affects their company and everything. But they're all fun, and I always hear different stories from different people. I've met a lot of fans over the years, and quite frankly, they remember things about me that I'm going, I got to think about that for a second. Hold on, and just
give me a week.
It's amazing. I mean, kids as young as yourself or younger, or people that are my parents' age, which are in their their 80s. They have all these stories, and so it's hard to pinpoint one specific event. They're all fun.
Yeah, they all bring their own different
Absolutely.
new crowd that's just as excited
Mhm.
as the last one, and then just
Yep.
keeps on going. No, that's awesome. When I came across it, I was like, you know what, this would be perfect to one, have you on, talk about Packer football, and then to kind of pivot and talk about that as well. And I've included the links and everything in the description of the video, and I'll post some things out obviously afterwards. My dad and my uncle, they are from, so my family's from La Crosse, Wisconsin, and they were pumped to know that I was having you on. They're like, heck yeah, like let's go, like let's do this thing. So
Good.
that's perfect. So anything else you want to touch on as far as PER
No,
goes?
I'm ready for the bye week to be over.
Me too.
Yeah, even though there's NFL on, it's just not the same without a Packer game on.
It's so weird.
It is. You kind of, especially when the game of the week here is the Bears and
Yeah,
the Cardinals, and
it's okay. Your wife, is your wife a big Packers fan, or is she?
Oh
Just,
yeah.
Okay, because I didn't,
Yes.
I didn't know. Sometimes, she's just like,
she was born and raised in a small town, Horicon, Wisconsin.
Oh yes, yeah.
Just northwest of Milwaukee.
Yeah.
Oh, that's perfect. That's
Okay,
great. Thankfully, go ahead.
My wife hates the 3:15 and the 7:20 games. She wants the noon games so that she can have a little bit more meat.
So here's how I describe the games in the day. I go early game, late game, night game.
Yep.
And I'll go, okay, the Packers are the late game. And she'll go, is that 7 p.m. or 3 p.m.? I go, honey, the 7 p.m. game is at night. So it's the early game, the late game, and the night game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that is what
she's almost got it after 10 years of knowing each other.
Yeah, they do describe it as.
See, that's the thing, especially like our wives, thankfully, are both big Packer fans. And I know Jordy does the same. My wife, she doesn't really care to have a lot of people over to watch because she wants to actually watch the games as well. Right. And she pays enough attention. And she, her and Jordy, his wife does my wife's hair. And she was telling me a couple weeks ago that she was getting her hair done. And those two were talking to like the 6 or 7 other women about Packer football, about Alan Lazard being out for the week. And they're like, who's that? And Josh's like, it's a receiver. He's good at blocking, blah, blah, and like talking about this and that. So thankfully we have awesome wives who basically Sundays revolve. We wake up early, we throw the jersey on, we're playing music. And then after the games, we're watching for 3.5 hours. Well, then you wait for the player pressers to come on and you watch those. And yeah, John, me and you've got it made so far. Things could change, but I don't think I
was telling Rob 2 weeks ago, my wife goes, we were watching Seattle and they had played a horrible game offensively. And she was saying, what are you going to do when Green Bay is this bad? And I just was like, I don't know, because at 28 years old, I've been very lucky.
No different.
You've never known.
We
don't know different.
What bad is. Like maybe a season here or there, but we don't know what bad is. Like even when Rodgers was hurt, it was like, he's hurt. Like when he comes
back.
When he,
it will happen. I mean, it just. I mean, look at the Cowboys. I mean, how good they were for that whole decade of the '90s, and they've been horrible except for a few good years here and there. Frisco, they went through it. I mean, we will go through. The odds of us getting another Hall of Fame quarterback after Aaron decides to hang it up are slim.
Yeah.
So
it could be 60 years.
No, let's not get crazy.
No.
Hey, Chris wants to be around for the next time. All right.
I do.
Like, come on. No, that's great. Any last words from you guys before we close it down?
No, I'm good. I had a good time, and
perfect.
If you want to have me back anytime, I'll be happy to join. I love doing this stuff.
Perfect. This is fun.
Well, I mean, like we always, from the beginning, kind of had envisioned that, hey, we're just gonna go as we go. I mean, Rob kind of, he drives the ship, and I come along. I offer different opinions, and he's like, hey, I got Chris Jacke. I'm like, hey, let's do it.
Let's do it.
It's something different. It gives us something,
absolutely.
Always kind of going, and of course, we like somebody else's opinion that's invested,
and who's played.
I'm just a fan. I'm not invested anymore. I can be blunt.
Oh yeah. Hey,
if we have a bad game, I'm not afraid to say we had a bad game and not sugarcoat it.
Heck yeah, I'm very optimistic, but I'm realistic at the same time. So it's how it works, and that's the way I found most enjoyable to be a fan. So whatever works for you, and that's kind of.
Oh, but there are those that out there. If you badmouth the Packers in any way, fashion, or form, even if it's deserved, you're not a
terrible fan.
It's like, come on, give me a break.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. No, good stuff. Perfect. Chris, I want to thank you for coming on again. Maybe we could do,
anytime.
maybe we could do a playoff or Super Bowl edition later this season when the time comes.
Absolutely. Like I said, I don't got much to do. It's
Perfect.
cold out. I'm not going anywhere.
Right?
No golfing, no fishing. I don't
That's
ice fish, so no.
Yeah, I ice fished for the first time this last winter. I went a few times, and
Oof, no.
I loved it for the first half an hour. We didn't even have a heater in there, but man, we didn't catch much fish, and it was cold. So I'm gonna be. Then you hear the ice creak, and you're like, no, I'm good. So
yeah,
before we go off on more tangents, let's just close it down because we're gonna get ourselves into trouble here. So perfect. Thank you to everybody watching, commenting. It's been a lot of fun. I've included the links to Chris's social media pages along with his business website in the description of this video. So please be sure to check those out. For Chris, John, myself, we will catch you guys later. Thank you.